Cocaine has a reputation that no other drug on this list has. Heroin is the drug of desperation. Meth is the drug of destruction. But cocaine is the drug of success. The drug of boardrooms and backstage passes and bathroom stalls at parties where everyone is having the best night of their lives. The drug that has been glamorized in more movies, more songs, more cultural moments than almost anything else humanity has ever put up its nose. And the reason it has that reputation is not because it is misunderstood. It is because for approximately 30 minutes it actually delivers on every single thing the reputation promises. You feel powerful, you feel confident, you feel like the most interesting person in any room you walk into. And then your heart starts beating at 200 times per minute, and the most glamorous drug in the world tries to kill you. This is what cocaine actually does to your body, and why the gap between the promise and the reality is one of the most dangerous lies in pharmacology. Cocaine is derived from the leaves of the coca plant, which grows primarily in South America and has been used by indigenous populations for thousands of years as a mild stimulant, chewed or brewed into tea, producing effects roughly comparable to a strong cup of coffee at those concentrations. Spanish colonizers brought it back to Europe in the 16th century. By the 19th century, a German chemist named Albert Niemann had isolated the pure alkaloid, tasted it, noted that it numbed his tongue, and set in motion one of the most consequential pharmaceutical discoveries in history. Sigmund Freud wrote enthusiastically about cocaine as a treatment for depression and morphine addiction. Coca-Cola contained cocaine until 1903. The original formula was not a metaphor. There was actual cocaine in the beverage. Hospitals used it as a local anesthetic, one of the few legitimate medical uses it still has today, primarily in nasal surgeries, because of its unique property of simultaneously numbing tissue and constricting blood vessels. The drug that is currently destroying people in nightclub bathrooms worldwide was once prescribed by doctors and sold in pharmacies and marketed as a health tonic. We were, once again, a spectacularly different society. Here is what cocaine actually does neurologically and why it feels so specifically good in the way that it does. Your brain runs on neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, chemical messengers that travel between neurons and produce everything you feel. Under normal circumstances, your neurons release these neurotransmitters, they cross the synapse, bind to receptors, produce their effect, and then get reabsorbed back into the releasing neuron through transporter proteins, essentially recycled for future use. Cocaine blocks those transporter proteins, all of them simultaneously. Dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine transporters all get blocked at the same time, which means the neurotransmitters that have been released cannot be reabsorbed. They just keep accumulating in the synapse, keep binding to receptors, keep producing their effects over and over in an amplifying loop. Dopamine produces the euphoria and the confidence and the sense of invincibility. Norepinephrine produces the heart rate increase, the blood pressure spike, the heightened alertness, the physical energy. Serotonin contributes to the mood elevation and the social confidence. All three simultaneously, all amplified beyond normal physiological limits all at once. That is the cocaine high. It is not subtle. It is every good feeling your brain is capable of producing turned on at full volume simultaneously. So you do a line. The powder hits the nasal mucosa, the thin membrane lining your nasal passages, and absorbs into the bloodstream through the capillaries there within seconds. Within 30 to 60 seconds of insufflation, the first effects arrive, and they arrive not gradually but completely. Your mood shifts upward instantly. Not the slow warming of alcohol or the creeping onset of other substances. Immediately. You are in a conversation and suddenly you are funnier, more interesting, more engaged than you were 30 seconds ago. Your thoughts are sharper. Words come faster. The thing you are going to say becomes more articulate in the moment you say it. You feel a warmth in your chest that is not quite like anything else. Not the warmth of opioids, which is soft and enveloping, but a bright, energized warmth like something has been switched on inside your ribcage. Your heart is beating faster, but it feels good. It feels like excitement rather than anxiety. Your senses are heightened. Music sounds better. The people around you seem more interesting. You feel present in a way that is difficult to achieve sober. All the background noise of self-doubt and social anxiety and existential worry has been chemically removed, and what is left is just you, at your most confident and most capable version operating at full power. This lasts approximately 20 to 30 minutes with a single line, which is the first problem with cocaine that the cultural reputation conveniently omits. The high is short, extraordinarily short compared to almost any other substance. The norepinephrine reuptake blockade means cocaine is metabolized and cleared relatively quickly, and when it clears, it does not leave you where you started. Your transporter proteins, which have been blocked for the past 20 minutes, are now suddenly unblocked, and they vacuum up every neurotransmitter in the synapse aggressively to compensate for the blocked period. Your dopamine levels drop below baseline, your serotonin drops below baseline, your norepinephrine drops. Everything that was elevated is now deficient. And the feeling that produces is the cocaine come down, a flatness, irritability, a nagging dissatisfaction that is specifically shaped like the negative image of the high you just had. The confidence that felt so natural 20 minutes ago is gone, and its absence feels conspicuous. The conversation that felt effortless now requires effort again. Everything is slightly worse than it was before you started, and the only thing that fixes it immediately and completely is another line. This is the mechanism that makes cocaine so compulsively redosable, not chemical dependency in the way heroin creates dependency. A psychological loop that is almost impossible to interrupt once it has started. You feel incredible, you come down, the come down feels bad specifically because the high felt so good, and the solution is right there in front of you. One more line, just one more. The cardiovascular effects of cocaine are where the drug stops being a party and starts being a medical emergency, and they begin with the very first dose, not after years of use. Norepinephrine is your body's primary stress hormone. When cocaine floods your norepinephrine system, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, at full capacity. Your heart rate accelerates dramatically, not the modest increase of a brisk walk. A resting heart rate of 70 beats per minute can spike to 150, 180, over 200 beats per minute within minutes of using cocaine. Your blood vessels constrict throughout your body because norepinephrine tells blood vessels to narrow. Your blood pressure spikes. The combination of a massively elevated heart rate pushing blood through significantly constricted vessels means your heart is working harder than it ever works during normal exertion. And cocaine does this not for the 30 seconds of a sprint, but for the entire duration of the high and beyond, because cocaine also prolongs the action of norepinephrine by blocking its reabsorption. Cocaine does something to the coronary arteries specifically that makes it uniquely dangerous for the heart, even in young, healthy, otherwise low-risk individuals. It causes coronary artery spasm. The same blood vessels that supply oxygen to the heart muscle constrict in response to the cocaine-induced norepinephrine flood. At the same time, the heart is demanding more oxygen than it ever has because it is beating at 200 times per minute. More demand, dramatically reduced supply. This is the mechanism behind cocaine-induced myocardial infarction. Heart attacks in 25-year-olds with no history of heart disease, no risk factors, no warning signs, who simply did cocaine at a party and whose coronary arteries went into spasm while their heart was demanding maximum blood flow. Cocaine is the single most common cause of drug-related chest pain presenting to emergency departments in the United States. Not heroin, not meth, cocaine. Because cocaine attacks the heart specifically, directly, and every single time you use it regardless of your age or your health, or how many times you have used it before without incident. Cocaine also promotes clot formation. It makes platelets more sticky and more prone to aggregating. Combined with the coronary artery spasm, this means cocaine simultaneously reduces blood supply to the heart and increases the likelihood of a clot forming in that reduced blood supply. The same mechanism that causes ischemic stroke, a clot blocking a cerebral artery, can be triggered by cocaine in young people whose cerebrovascular system would otherwise be completely healthy for decades. Cocaine causes strokes, not eventually, not after years of use, not just in people with pre-existing conditions, in otherwise healthy young people on a single occasion. The cocaine overdose is not a single defined event the way a heroin overdose is. There is no respiratory depression, no nodding off, no peaceful fading. A cocaine overdose is a cardiovascular and neurological crisis that can take several forms, and all of them are dramatic and all of them are terrifying and none of them are peaceful. The most common is cardiac. The heart, running at 180 beats per minute against constricted vessels, while simultaneously being starved of blood through spasming coronary arteries, develops a fatal arrhythmia, ventricular fibrillation. The coordinated electrical signals that produce a rhythmic heartbeat break down into chaotic electrical activity that produces no meaningful pumping. Your blood pressure drops to zero. You lose consciousness in approximately 10 seconds. Without immediate defibrillation, the outcome is cardiac arrest and death. The neurological overdose presentation is equally acute. Cocaine at high doses causes seizures, grand mal convulsions driven by the direct stimulant effect on cortical neurons that have been pushed past their operational limits by the dopamine and norepinephrine flood. A cocaine seizure is not like the absent seizures of epilepsy. Full body convulsions, rigidity followed by violent rhythmic jerking, loss of consciousness. During a cocaine seizure, your muscles are consuming oxygen at an extraordinary rate. Your temperature is rising because the muscular activity generates heat and your airway is compromised. Cocaine-induced hypothermia, body temperature rising to 104, 105, 106 degrees Fahrenheit, compounds everything. At these temperatures, proteins in your brain begin to denature. Enzymes stop functioning, neurons die, and you are experiencing all of this with a heart that is simultaneously trying to maintain circulation against cocaine-constricted vessels while generating an arrhythmia. Here is the specific experience from the inside at the moment a cocaine overdose begins. You are at a party. You have been using for a few hours. You have been redosing every 30 minutes as the high fades, because the alternative is that flat deficient feeling and the powder is right there. Your heart has been running at elevated rates all evening, but it has felt like excitement, like energy, like the feeling of being fully alive at a party that is exactly as good as it should be. And then something changes. The heart that has been racing pleasantly starts racing differently. A palpitation that does not feel like the others, an irregularity, a flutter that registers somewhere below consciousness as wrong. Your chest tightens. Not the pressure of a heart attack exactly, but a tightening that is qualitatively different from anything that happened earlier in the evening. Your vision blurs slightly at the edges. Not tunnel vision yet, but a softening of the periphery that was not there a moment ago. You feel your heart in your chest in a way you do not normally feel it. Not the pleasant racing of cocaine euphoria, but an awareness of each beat as a discrete event, as something effortful and slightly desperate. The euphoria that has been your companion all evening is gone. In its place is a rising anxiety that is not the paranoia of cocaine psychosis, but something more physical, more immediate. Your body is telling you something that your cocaine-flooded brain is struggling to process. Something is wrong with your heart. Something is wrong right now. The people around you see you sit down. They see your expression change. They ask if you are okay, and you say yes because you do not know what else to say. And because acknowledging what is happening means acknowledging what you have been doing all evening, and because some part of you still believes this will pass the way the other moments of intensity passed, it does not pass. The arrhythmia that began as a flutter is becoming something more serious. The electrical signals coordinating your cardiac muscle are breaking down. Your blood pressure is dropping. The room is getting darker at the edges, not because the lights have changed, but because your brain is not receiving adequate perfusion. You lose consciousness not with drama, but with a sudden absence. One moment you are sitting at a party trying to explain to yourself that you are fine, and the next moment you are not there anymore. Cocaine kills approximately 14,000 Americans every year directly, and contributes to tens of thousands of additional deaths through its cardiovascular effects. The majority of those deaths occur in people under 40. Many of them occur in people who had used cocaine before without incident, and believed that their previous survival was evidence of safety. It is not. Every single use of cocaine is a cardiovascular stress test, conducted without medical supervision at the highest possible intensity. Some people pass that test dozens of times. Some people fail it the first time. The drug does not distinguish between them. The cocaine does not know how many times you have used it before. The coronary artery does not know your age or your health history. It just spasms. The heart just races. The electrical system just destabilizes. And the person who was the most confident, most interesting, most alive person at the party 30 minutes ago is now on the floor, while someone who does not know what to do is calling an ambulance and trying to remember if cocaine is something you are supposed to mention to paramedics or not. The answer is yes, you are supposed to mention it. Every time. And they died at the best party of their life.